Hey everyone, welcome to another video. If you love film or television content, please consider clicking that subscribe button because today I had to explore the other three Wes Anderson short films that released on Netflix after Henry Sugar. We have The Swan, The Ratcatcher, and Poison, and I really want to talk about all three of them to you because I think that this whole week of Wes Anderson shorts is kind of unique and I really want to see more of it. So let's get into it. So all three of these shorts are really loosely based off kind of real experiences, newspaper articles, people that Roald Dahl has met in real life. Obviously there are great exaggerations here, but it's just interesting where you find the inspiration for these novels for Roald Dahl. Now, with that said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the first of these three shorts post Henry Sugar, and that is The Swan. So this is the only one that I have seen twice, and I really think that your experience changes a lot on a rewatch. I think that initially I wasn't too impressed with this. I really loved the ending. I thought it brought out all the emotions it needed to, but the first half I was really struggling in terms of just keeping up with what it wants to do. The narrative style and the way it presents its dialogue is kind of different from what we can expect from Wes Anderson. It's similar to Henry Sugar, where it feels like the character is reading direct lines from the novel. It almost feels like an audiobook brought to life in a lot of ways, and that takes some adjusting, and it definitely did for me. So my first experience with The Swan, I thought it was good for sure, but I wasn't truly impressed with it. I didn't love it until I watched it that second time. On a second watch, when I was much better adjusted, I noticed that there was just so much more to analyze. Anderson packs a lot into a 17-minute short. All three of these shorts are 17 minutes long, and you're going to notice that as a common theme. It just has so much more substance compared to what some filmmakers can achieve in 2 to 3 hours. It is really, really impressive. This one stars Rupert Friend, and he just seems like he's so well adjusted to Wes's style of filmmaking already. He got his start in a Wes Anderson film, I believe with The French Dispatch, where he got a really small role, and then he moved on to Asteroid City, got a larger role, and then in these, he's kind of one of the main performers in these shorts, and he is really great. He seems like such a perfect match for Wes Anderson. I really like his collaboration with Anderson, and I want to see more because he is fantastic in this. So all of these shorts have a theme that it wants to explore. In this one, it is bullying and trauma. And the way that it does it is very profound. It doesn't hit you until it hits that conclusion where it was unexpectedly tragic. Anderson has definitely dived into darker themes before. The Royal Tenenbaums, I think, is a perfect example for that, where he explored suicide, and he goes back to these really dark themes with The Swan. It has more than just a melancholy feeling to it that many Wes Anderson films explore. This is just more devastating, and I really, really appreciated this exploration of bullying and what it achieves by that conclusion. There is just so much to analyze in those final moments, and I really think that what it does was so profound. Once again, technically, this is just superb. There is just a great style here. Once again, it is very theater-like, just like Henry Sugar. The set evolves and the way that the characters move around is all very innovative in terms of cinema because you're kind of meshing the two together and he does it kind of seamlessly. Honestly, I think that this one is superb. I'll probably watch it many more times in the future because it's just such an easy watch. It starts off kind of charming and funny, and then it just really hits you with big emotional punches. And I really, really enjoyed this one. Easy recommendation from me. And with that said, let's get into the next short, The Ratcatcher. After The Swan, Wes decides to make something a little more fantastical in The Ratcatcher, but no less dark. it still does have that energy to it for sure. And at the end, you do feel a little bit repulsed, but overall, it has characters that kind of are more in line with what you'd expect from Roald Dahl. The Ratcatcher himself being a prime example of that. Ray Fiennes just does an incredible job of being this kind of creepy yet interesting personality that really makes the other characters feel so uneasy. He does have just a lot of weird energy to him, and some of his lines feel like he's kind of a disturbed person. His character believes that if you are to be a good rat catcher, you need to think and act like them. So Fiennes kind of incorporates that into his physicality in the performance, and it just really works. Richard Iwadi is also in this, and just his style of performance, the way that he acts in every show or movie that he's in, is just a perfect pairing with Wes Anderson and his style of dialogue. He kind of brings a lot of the more comedic lines to this, and it just enhances Anderson's dialogue so much more, and I really think that he should be in more features from Anderson in the future. This also has really great stylistic choices at the end and a lot to interpret at the end, and I do think it works. It is very dark, but you won't really understand what truly happens unless you read another short story by the name of Rummans, which explains the major question that is asked throughout the short film, which can kind of leave a lot to be desired, but knowing the answer and then rewatching it again, I'm sure would make for a much better viewing experience, I think. I'm not on that second watch yet, but I do think it adds a lot to this. I think the ending just on its own is still very great and mysterious and just gives you a lot to think about. With all of these great stylistic choices, there's this really cool showdown scene, which I really loved. And then another interesting scene that also gives you a lot to interpret about what happens to a rat that is kind of gross, but I do think it works in terms of this film. There's also some animation in here too, and it looks phenomenal. Anderson, I think, is a master of animation. Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs are two of probably my favorite animated films of all time, and him including that in The Ratcatcher a little bit was a nice little touch that I really enjoyed. I think overall this is a very good short that is once again well worth recommending. I really enjoyed this one, and it's just once again just so easy to watch and enjoy and give you a little bit of a taste as to the types of films that Wes Anderson likes to make. Then we have Poison, the final short in this series. And this one's a little bit different from the other two. It still gives you a lot to analyze. There's a lot to interpret, especially at the end once again. And there's a common theme here. But this one, in terms of its tone and style, almost captures the essence of a Quentin Tarantino or Alfred Hitchcock-esque scene where there's just a lot of tension. There's something that is happening to the character that needs to be resolved quickly. And it really leaves you on just a interesting thrill ride, I think. This once again has a fantastic use of production design, and I believe a different aspect ratio too. This is at a 2.35 aspect ratio, which basically there's two black bars on the top and the bottom, if you don't know what that is. And it looks phenomenal. The production design, it evolves very fast into something completely different. And I really love that about Wes Anderson in general. His production design in all of his films is kind of flawless and some of the best I've ever seen. And it just really continues here. This one stars Dev Patel, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Ben Kingsley, who are all great in this. Once again, three who I think should be Wes Anderson regulars in the future because they are just so great in terms of being these types of characters. This one feels a lot more like a thriller because Cumberbatch's Harry Pope is stuck in a bed because he believes that a crate or this really poisonous snake got into his bed. So he is paralyzed so that he doesn't encourage the snake to bite him. Dev Patel and Ben Kingsley are kind of helping him through this and trying to resolve this, but it is so tense because they have to be kind of glacial in terms of how they're going to resolve this. They can't act too rashly. They can't just pull the covers down, knock the snake away because it could bite him and kill him almost instantly. So there's a lot of tension there as they're trying to be very delicate in getting rid of this snake. It's just so tense, and you can see Harry Pope struggling to stay still. If you ask anyone, I'll ask you right now, if you just stood still for as long as you can and you're consciously thinking about it, you feel your body just wanting to move, and he's kind of going through that there. He is dripping in sweat, his mouth is twitching while Patel and Kingsley are trying to remove the snake. It is so tense and so brilliant. Now, this is more than just a tense scene. This is also looking at the character dynamics here and how they rapidly change throughout the short. I can't really talk about the ending in depth without spoiling it, of course, but this has largely been agreed upon as an allegory for the British rule of India, as Poison really explores the power dynamics of these characters and how it rapidly changes and evolves by the conclusion of the film. The final line kind of illustrates this, but I also think that on top of that, this is an exploration and representation of mental health. And Anderson is just so efficient in telling the story in 17 minutes. It's kind of mind-blowing. Look, overall, all three shorts I think are absolutely fantastic and unforgettable. These are just some of the best short films that I have ever seen, period. And I wish we could get more like this often. I obviously want directors to focus and prioritize feature-length films, of course, but if they have some time free and they want to do something really creative and a little bit different to what we're used to from them, I think this is a great avenue to do that. And I really encourage Netflix to keep supporting this because it's just so easy to put on and watch. These shorts are just packed with so much information and so much to analyze in such a short amount of time, and it is truly impressive. I cannot express that enough. There is just, once again, so much to analyze here, and Wes just continues to show why he is just the best at adapting Roald Dahl novels. It seems like he was made for it. I highly recommend all three of them and Henry Sugar to you because they don't go for that long. Henry Sugar is the longest at 40 minutes long, and then the other three are all 17 minutes long each, and they honestly fly by. I also think that this is just a perfect introduction to Wes Anderson's filmography because they're just so easily digestible. But overall, those are my thoughts towards all of these shorts. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.